So, what'd you guys think?
The acting?
Killer.
But what about the one guy?
Killer.
What about the score?
Killer, dude. Halloween kills.
What the one guy? Danner! Hang on, buddy! Here I come! Evil dies tonight. Not tonight, Michael!
Hey, let's take his mask.
Keep it as a trophy.
Guys.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk. I am Philip, and joining us this week, our good friend Jordan Mears.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for stopping by once again, buddy.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Well, it has. I don't even remember the last review we did together. Maybe Rocket Man.
Yeah, man, it has been a
So
while.
it's
That was
been
like,
a
what,
while.
2019?
Not completely our fault.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, I'll help you shoot stuff
Right.
every now and then.
Right. But, we had that year off and everything where we didn't really talk about anything.
Yeah.
But, and this...
Try to survive.
Well, and it's kind of fitting to mention that because this is one of the movies, the movie we're talking about tonight, originally supposed to come out last October,
Yeah.
was delayed an entire year until this Halloween. So naturally, we're talking about Halloween Kills. This is David Gordon Green's follow-up to his 2018 kind of reboot of the franchise. Halloween Kills is the 12th movie in the franchise overall, which
So
is
many.
kind of crazy. Yeah.
So many.
And we can kind of get into like the history of all the movies if you want to, how it plays into...
I have something to say about all of them.
Okay. Well, and just kind of more of how it plays into what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But per usual, just kind of initial reaction coming fresh out of seeing Halloween Kills. What are your kind of first thoughts about it?
Honestly, I loved it.
Did you really?
I loved it.
Oh, no.
I mean, I know, like Laura, my girlfriend, was here with us, and she was like, that was terrible. My friend Zach was like, oh man, I didn't like it. Even Cody over there filming was just like, man, that was awful. I'm over here just like, oh, I loved it. I want to see it again immediately after. But, I mean, that's interesting because I feel like it will be a polarizing horror film for people. I didn't really know what to expect coming in. Like, I knew it was going to be a sequel, direct from the 2018 and also from the 78. But I didn't know where they were really going to go with it other than they were going to have, like, kind of a mob mentality going on in the town. And that, Laurie was going to be, posted up in the hospital for a bit. Which is reminiscent of the original Halloween 2.
I was kind of like, oh, they're going to do that. As soon as they rolled her in, I was like, are we doing this again?
But like I loved it. Even the flashbacks to 78, I'm just like, this looks like it came right from the 78 Carpenter film.
So that part I thought was really cool. We talked about Jim Cummings shows up in the flashbacks. Thomas Mann is playing a young Will Patton.
Hawkins,
Officer Hawkins. And
speaking of cops, the original Brackett is back. Granted, like, I'm just like, okay, he's so old. He's like in his 80s. I'm like, he can't really do much. No. So it's a little funny to hear him talk like a hard ass at times. And
well, and there's a shot like at the end, not to spoil like anything or the situation that he's in. Yeah, I was just like, ugh. I mean, it's unintentionally fun. It's not funny. It's not, but it still made me kind of like,
Well, it's like one of those like wink, callbacks.
Well, and so that was kind of what I meant as far as like talking about this is still just this is going to be a trilogy of movies. There's another one that's coming out next
Halloween
year.
Ends.
Right.
Yeah.
So David Gordon Green and Danny McBride wrote this, and there's one other guy who wrote this.
Scott Teems, I think, wrote this with him. Like, they went to like school together.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And so they formed this new trilogy as a direct set of films right after the first one. Has no connections to the other movies whatsoever.
No
And-
Cult of Thorn here.
I think Michael is under the influence of an evil rune. Thorn.
Right, yeah. But you do get some like legacy sequel type stuff in this movie because they bring back
some of the masks from Season of the Witch are in there.
Yeah. And but like just including Tommy Doyle and the little girl that Lindsay,
Yeah.
and the original nurse that was with Loomis and everything,
Marion.
And so I didn't expect that part of it, and I didn't know that was going to be like part of this story
It was
at all.
a really big part
And
of it,
it's a
too.
huge part of it. Yeah, like so much so to the point, I was surprised that they kind of put Jamie Lee Curtis on the back burner again. Like,
You know what, though? I will say I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
Because, we've seen all the sequels, or, some of us have seen all the sequels, and they're always talking about Laurie,
Right.
and it's always Laurie having to battle this and that, and it was just like, okay, it was interesting for me to see some other people kind of take the reins, where it's just like, she's protected these people before,
Right.
now it's their turn to protect her.
that was a cool, And I did like, the one thing I did like about it was how, so it seemed like Gordon Green, like in his 2018 movie, was, I'm going to keep it simple like the original did, like John Carpenter did, there's not a big mythology behind Michael Myers or why he kills or anything. And
It's just who he is, or what he
right.
is.
And it didn't try to explain too much. And again, it was just like, here's what's happening 40 years later. This lady is still like attached to that night. It's defined her whole life. All that good stuff.
And not just her. I mean, like with
Her-
Tommy and Lindsay and everybody else,
Right.
and the town in general,
Yeah.
they're haunted by all of it. And, it gets into some good territory of, what does trauma look
Right.
like? How does trauma affect these people, especially how does it affect an entire town, and not just affect, but infect, too.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
I thought they took it a little bit too far, and I will say there's one whole sequence that involves another person that escaped from Smith's Grove that was on the bus that Michael was on. And it was just like, I get why they did it, and so when you guys watch it, you will too, but you're just like, it's a little heavy-handed, and it kind of took away from the main plot
Right.
of the film.
It felt
Like the
slightly
trajectory.
convoluted,
Yeah.
just to make that point.
Yeah.
Because it, like we were talking about this right after, and it is just making that point of like it's giving the town someone to take it out on, and then in turn like realizing they could be just as evil, or it could be anybody, that kind of thing. But what I like that it kind of demythologized Laurie as far as talking about like Laurie Strode and her role in all of this. It does take steps to kind of do that, which I thought was kind of good in as far as honoring like the original intent of what David Gordon Green wanted to do with these movies.
Well, I mean, she's taking what she believes and what the audience also believes too.
Right.
In that, we've always put Laurie and Michael together, but people forget that Laurie was just an innocent bystander in his, path.
Yeah.
In the original. And so she's built it up in her head like, he's coming for me. Like, I'm the final girl. He's coming for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, this is just his nature. He's coming for everyone.
Right. Yeah. And
You know?
they do give him something of a kind of prime objective, I guess.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have anything to do with her. And no, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say they didn't really like expand on it a lot.
Right,
Like
right.
it's a really vague objective, and I kind of like that too.
I did too.
Because
I did
it
like that
keeps
part of it.
mysterious and creepy. It's just like, what's going on in this? You can't even really call him a guy. I mean, he's a guy, obviously,
Right.
but it's just, dude gets shot multiple times.
Multiple times.
He gets stabbed.
In the chest.
He gets beaten. And, he's like Rocky Balboa, just getting back up and doing it again, you know?
That's a good segue to talk about the gore and the violence in this movie. So another thing was, the original Halloween is kind of synonymous with, like, no blood. It's just very creepy and atmospheric and all this stuff. And then, Halloween 2, not that this has anything to do with those original sequels, but it kind of... all the
upped it a little
copycats
bit, yeah.
of the original Halloween did the thing where we're going to show the gore, like the Friday the 13th and all that stuff. and it, they got extra gory, and so it was like David Gordon Green was like, we kept the first one. Well, I mean, the first one's still very brutal from 2018, but this one definitely ups. It lives up to its name.
But in a way though, to kind of counter that, in a way it makes sense because they tried to burn Michael alive,
right?
And he's supremely pissed. I mean,
I get it.
And even going as far as to showing like when he stabs some people, even some people that are already dead.
Yeah.
He there's one person like who's already dead, and he just walks over and he's just stabbing knives repeatedly into like walking back over to the cutlery. Boom, another one. Walk back over. Boom, another one. And dude had like 6 knives in his back. And
that's kind of where I was like I wasn't sitting there like, what is the point of this? Or like trying to apply some kind of like, meaning to it or anything. Like obviously this dude is just deranged and like get something out of the thrill of killing people.
Evil.
Just
He's
right.
Just pure.
But I was like, the thing that get me, and this may come down to like objective of filmmakers and the whole creative team, but like, yeah, it was gory. I was definitely flinching and like turning away.
Like, gnarly kills in this.
Very much so. But I wasn't creeped out or scared as much by it or even at the thought of like this home intruder and stuff as I was just kind of like, ugh.
Well, they really made you feel the impact of every single kill. Whereas, like, we were talking about some of the other Halloween films. So, we kind of talked about Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yeah.
His remake and then the sequel to that. Where that movie was just super, super brutal and depressing. And I think that the reason that it works better here is because it's not a depressing movie. It's a fun movie to watch, and it keeps you interested and engaged throughout, whereas the Rob Zombie one, it's good on its own terms as its own thing.
It's miserable.
It's just, you're not having any fun watching it. You're not scared. You're just like, this isn't even entertainment. And I think that was probably Zombie's point for that.
Probably. He likes to just seek out like the seediest of people and expose it. And it's just
it's
super,
its own thing.
It's very much like, it's not one you want to revisit very often. And this one definitely has fun to it. Like, and
like I know that there are points of it that come off as like corny. Like there's like a whole mob bit where everyone's like chanting, "Evil dies tonight, evil dies," and you're like, okay, yeah. But deep down, you're just like, I want to see these people get together and like put a stomping on this dude.
See, I was just like, what are we doing? What is going on? It felt very like scattershot and just all over the place. Like as far as I don't know, like you have Jamie Lee Curtis and Will Patton in a hospital room together. You've got the group of, survivors from the original night.
And a lot of the town.
Yeah, and a lot of the town comes into it. You've got them kind of all coming in on the hospital as well. And then you've got kind of, they're still tracking Michael as well. Yeah. And it just kind of was like, I don't know, it felt like it was trying to do a lot and just wasn't as focused.
I think I know what your problem was.
Okay.
Maybe. So earlier in the film, Tommy's going around recruiting people, and they're all going around the town hunting for Michael, but then it seems like everybody converges and congregates there at the hospital, and it's for like a good portion of the movie, whereas it's just like, guys, Michael's still out there somewhere, like, go on, like, go break up into groups and go find him.
Right.
Whereas that could have, had a little more fun to it. Rather than everybody just chanting "Evil dies tonight." In the
that
thing.
Congregation at the hospital, it kind of feels like the centerpiece of the movie in a lot of ways. And it was just like, well, I was just, that was fine, but I didn't get like the overall point Green was trying to maybe make with that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about the point he was trying to make, but at the same time, I was more invested in like the couple at the original Myers house, and like Michael
Lonnie and everybody going out there like trying to find him, and we're like, oh, he's going home, which is in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. Where it's just like, he's going home. Let's go and see if he's there. Where it's just like, okay, this is fun and interesting, and you're just like, well, what's going to happen?
Right. And I know it's not good criticism to be like, well, I wish they would have done this, or it would have been better if they did this.
Yeah.
That's just like trying to make my own movie in my head, or fulfill my own, what I expected from it, my own expectations. But I don't know. It just, it felt for the first, maybe act or so, it was trying to find its groove. And then once it did, and once I realized what they were kind of doing, and I like Green's sensibilities and his, he's a guy who can do stuff like this,
everything,
and then do Pineapple Express, and
then do some art house,
right?
George Washington,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like he can tackle whatever,
he's a Renaissance man for sure.
Yeah, and I really do enjoy the majority of his work, and especially the 2018 one. I was a big fan of it, and I was very much excited to see where he took the trilogy. And maybe once it's completed, I'll have a different point of view on this middle chapter. I don't know. It just kind of felt like, some messy connective tissue for me, but I am still very much eager to see how they close this thing out. But, any other, major thoughts or things you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, the acting.
Yeah, okay.
So, Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is phenomenal. Is all whenever she's just screaming "Let it burn," I was like, I'm kind of about to tear up just because you're feeling it.
Right. It's a great moment.
You know what she's feeling and going through, and it's just her entire life has led to this, and now it's about to just be for nothing.
Right.
Anthony Michael Hall rocked it.
That's where I just.
I get the whole they gave him a little too much Evil Dies Tonight
right.
this and that, but you've never seen Anthony Michael Hall in a role like this.
That's fair.
This isn't the nerdy dude from Breakfast Club or Pirates of Silicon Valley
and maybe it was just some of the dialogue or the way it was cut. It's very. Lots of zoom ins and quick transitions, and I don't just the tone that went along with his line readings was just very I don't know if it was intentional as far as the camp, but it just felt very
They made him they gave him a mission. They made him obsessive, and but they made him out to be a good guy. There were times, the whole time I'm just I like this guy. This is a guy you would want to get a
No,
beer with.
I liked the character. I liked the concept, especially when we first meet him and his group in the bar and everything. I thought, I was that's a great idea.
Well, it's an interesting transition, too, from being scared little runt child to bat-wielding badass.
I get it. It's one of those things, it just... Tone-wise, it didn't mesh as well for me, but
the music,
so
good.
I'm glad you brought that up because I really, really like the score here.
It's John Carpenter.
It is,
and his son,
right? It was. I just like how they keep adding layers to it. It's really great.
Here's the classic, and now we're gonna rework it and turn it back around, and it's just gonna man, this is really boom. It's still as effective as it was the first time you watch Halloween.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one thing I definitely did want to touch on. So obviously a lot to break down here and discuss and think about. I still don't know exactly how I feel about it. I know I'm very mixed on it. I'm very conflicted about how I feel.
I think that a lot lot of people are gonna feel that way. I know, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 50 or a 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's completely split.
Interesting.
So,
but as you know, we do out of 5 stars. So, what would your initial reaction rating for
I'm gonna give it 4.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it 4, maybe even 4.5.
Whoa.
I really liked it. I went along with the film. You know, everybody's got preconceived notions coming into a Halloween film of what they expect, but then once you sit down, you just gotta let the movie kind of take you and go along with the ride. And I was in. I loved it. I was just honestly tack on Halloween Ends to this bad boy. Let's make it a 4-hour. Let's make it a 4-hour movie. Yeah.
I will say and I kind of said this with Bond last week. It didn't fit structurally.
Yeah.
It was surprising. I didn't ever know where it was going.
Yeah.
Especially with these type of genre movies, you kind of expect a certain set of beats for it to hit, and you definitely didn't know where this one was going or what it was going to do. So, I
give it a solid 4.
Solid 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3 right now. I don't know how to feel, but I'm gonna go 3 out of 5. I liked a lot of aspects of it, but other times I was just what is happening? What is going on here? What are we doing? But
maybe after you edit this review and then you go back and rewatch it, and you'll just be no.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna watch it again. But thank you.
Yeah.
Always
thank you.
for taking time out to watch the movie,
Yeah.
talk about it with us. But yeah, definitely, if you have a movie tavern near you, check it out on the big screen. Thank you guys also for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That always helps. Hit the like button because we upload a new release or a new review every week of the biggest release. So you'll know that if you hit the little bell, you'll get a little notification there every time we do that. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jordan, once again.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
You guys heard about the killer on the loose?
A copycat killer?
Yeah, I think he's based on Michael Myers.
Is he even real?
Yeah.
Has anybody seen what the mask looks like, though?
Definitely doesn't look like Michael Myers. Like, dollar store Mike, if anything. Like, it's bad.
Where is everybody?